Sophia's hand flew to Madame Margaret's mouth the moment the bedroom door began to creak. "Don't talk," she whispered, her breath tight and her heart pounded like a hammer in her chest. Through the crack, a man's voice drifted in calm and cold. "She's 48, no child, her parents are gone. Everything will be mine. We finish it quietly tonight." Sophia's eyes widened. Her hands shook, and towels slipped from her grip. She couldn't breathe or move. Madame Margaret's fingers found her wrist and held on tightly. Frozen in the hallway glow, one woman stood in a blue lace wrapper, glasses dangling from a chain. The other, wearing a plain maid's dress, held silence like a weapon. The doorknob turned. Jacob's shadow moved. Sophia's heart stopped. Then, like a bad dream pulling back, he laughed. The door closed again. "Don't worry," he said. "I'll make it look like an illness. After all, she's stressed. If you're reading this, pause, share the story now. What happens next can save someone too." Hours before that moment, morning broke soft and golden over Lagos. The white mansion in Ikoyi sat quietly like a sleeping ship. Sprinklers ticked, the gate slid open. Inside, the kitchen filled with the smell of fresh tea and butter bread. Sophia had already been awake since 5. She always was. She moved like the wind, quiet and gentle. Mop, rinse, fold. She wiped the glass, fluffed the pillows, and checked the flowers by the piano. She folded towels, counted plates, and ensured no glass had a single mark. She noticed a scuff on the wall and covered it with a framed photo. She made the house feel peaceful. She walked like this because she knew how bad it felt when a house lacked peace. She lost both her parents, young first her father, then her mother. Life after that was hard. She learned to be quick, clean, and quiet. Jobs came and went, beds too, but she never gave up. 3 months ago, when she got a job in Madame Margaret's home, she told herself, "Give this house your best, make it shine like a song." And Madame noticed her. Margaret Jacobs, the CEO of the biggest fabric brand in Nigeria. Her face was in magazines, her dresses hung in glass shops, but she wasn't mean. She noticed small things and thanked Sophia for her work. Sometimes at night, she called her to the study to talk about light topics, just books, and how Lagos smells after rain. "Your hands are careful," she once said as Sophia arranged roses. "Careful hands save homes from breaking." Sophia smiled. "Careful eyes too, ma." But in that beautiful house, one thing felt wrong. Jacobs, Madame's husband, handsome, tall, 55, and always smiling, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. He didn't walk or ask about Madame's day. He tossed his shoes on the floor and laughed when people tripped over them. "What's the point of being rich if you can't live free?" he'd say, then asked Sophia for another drink. Sophia didn't judge. It wasn't her place, but she saw how he rolled his eyes when Madame took late calls. She noticed how Madame looked at the empty cradle in the hallway, the one who never held a child. That afternoon, a storm gathered over Lagos. Thunder rolled like distant drums. Sophia was changing the bedroom sheets. As she reached the door, she froze. She heard him. Jacobs. His voice is sharp. "I told you. We're done waiting. She can't give me a child. She's the only heir. Her wealth becomes mine. Tonight, we'll say it was stress." The doctor warned her to rest. One pill. Quiet. Clean. Sophia didn't scream or run. She stood still, towel in hand, like a cat before jumping. Then Madame appeared behind her, walking softly, holding her glasses and a folder. Maybe she was going to call Jacobs or wanted help with the box. But Sophia moved quickly. She stepped in front of Madame and placed a hand on her mouth. "Don't talk," she whispered. For a moment, Madame looked shocked. Her maid, daring to touch her. But then she met Sophia's eyes, eyes that said, "Trust me," and she did. They both listened as Jacobs continued his evil plan. "Yes, I have the contact. One pill, no mess. I want freedom, a new life, a young wife. This one gave me nothing." Something in Madame broke. Her body felt weak. She had loved that man and given him everything. And now this. Sophia took her hand gently and whispered with her lips, "Call the police." Madame's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. They moved quietly to the study. Sophia closed the door soundlessly. Madame's fingers shook as she dialed. Emergency, she whispered. My husband is planning to kill me. The operator asked questions. She answered with short words. Then the voice said, Help is coming. Madame dropped the phone and looked at Sophia like she was the floor beneath her feet. Then footsteps returned. Jacobs, leaving the room and coming toward them, humming. His shoes tapped the marble floor. Sophia's heart raced. She heard it a sound far off at first, then louder. Sirens. The mansion's gate creaked open. Sophia stood firm in front of Madame. Jacobs pushed the door, smiling. What's this? A meeting I wasn't invited to? He walked in, bold and smirking. But the sirens grew louder. The front doors burst open. Heavy boots stormed in. The study door flew open. Policemen surrounded them. Jacob stepped back. What is this? Margaret, tell them to stop. I've done nothing. But Margaret didn't blink. You plan to kill me, she said. I heard every word. It was a joke. He laughed nervously. Just talk. You know me. But the police weren't smiling. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, one officer said. Cuffs clicked shut around his wrists. Jacobs twisted towards Sophia. This is your fault. Sophia didn't move. No, sir, she said. This is your fault. As they dragged him out, he shouted, I'm innocent. Margaret, you know me. But Margaret just watched, tears quietly streaming down her face. The next morning, the news broke. Billionaire's husband arrested for murder plot. Cameras gathered outside the court. Inside, Sophia sat beside Margaret, not in her maid's dress, but in gold. Her hair styled, her skin glowing. Margaret held her hand. You are family now, she said. Hold your head high. Jacobs was entered in cuffs, pale, small, nothing like the man who once ruled the mansion. The recording played. His voice, clear and cold. I want freedom. I want a young wife. This one gave me nothing. The courtroom gasped. It was a joke, Jacob shouted, but no one believed him. You admit this is your voice? The judge asked. Yes, but enough, the judge said. You are guilty. 10 years in prison. Cameras flashed. Reporters rushed outside. Margaret turned to Sophia. You saved my life, she whispered. But Sophia knew it was just the beginning. Margaret shocked everyone. Sophia is no longer my maid. She is my daughter, she told the press. Then she enrolled her in school. Sophia passed her exams and entered the best university in Lagos. On her first day, people whispered, That's the girl from the news. But she walked tall, she studied hard, and 4 years later, she graduated at the top of her class. She joined Madame's company as an accountant, no longer carrying trays but files, not wiping tables but signing documents. There, she met Johnson, tall, kind, respectful. They talked and laughed. Then they fell in love. Their wedding was grand. Margaret wept as Sophia walked down the aisle in white. 2 years passed. One day, Margaret sat with Sophia in the garden. I must see him, she said. Jacobs. Sophia frowned. After what he did. Margaret smiled softly. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for us. They went to the prison. Jacobs looked older and broken. I don't deserve to see you, he cried. Margaret handed him divorce papers. You are free, but not my husband. Then she gave him $1 million. Use it wisely. Change your life. Jacobs wept. Years later, Sophia held her baby girl, Amara Grace. Margaret kissed her forehead and said, This is the dream I thought would never come true. In that moment, Sophia knew she was no longer the girl who scrubbed floors in silence. She was a wife, a mother, a daughter. The woman who turned a broken night into a new life. If this story touched your heart, comment, share, and subscribe for more powerful African stories.